been sober June and July. You've been stalking my Instagram.
How are you finding it?
I'm only 2 days in, so yeah, it's going all right. Just been I've been trying to like eat a bit healthier and like exercise and stuff like that. Because when I'm not doing that, it's I don't know. I live a bit of a different life than that. So yeah, just gonna give it a go, you know. Try to give it a health kick for a month and stop being a bit of a slob.
Are you still smoking, or are you like stopping everything?
Yeah, no,
sober month?
Yeah, sober month. I haven't smoked weed in a long time. And I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. So yeah, I'm just doing keeping my head clean and just doing nothing for a little bit.
Do you find it impacts like your creativity in any way? Just having like a month where it's just like wiping the slate clean.
I find it more productive. Like today, this is my second day like off or whatever, and I like kind of wrote a song today, shit song today. So like I find it like because there's nothing else to do. Then what I like, there's not much to do when you're not I don't know when you're in lockdown and you're not drinking or like going to a bar or anything. So yeah, I find I'm just more productive, but I don't know if I'm more creative. Yeah, just kind of start an idea, I'm going to try and start an idea every day and see how far I get, I guess.
Is that an easy thing to do? Do you find it easy just to kind of kick off and start an idea, or does it take a bit of time to get to that point where one clicks?
No, I'd have no problem starting an idea, but I've just had problems starting a good idea. Like I start with a drum loop and I got this like amplifier next to me that because I'm shit at guitar as well. I just like kind of like play a couple of chords and make a cool sound on like different effect on this amp that I got, and kind of just try and make something, whether it's good or bad. Just I don't know, I guess. Yeah, when I'm like sitting at home, try and make like a shitty idea every day when I'm doing it. Yeah.
How long does it take you to figure out whether it's a good or bad idea?
I got to go away from it and then come back and listen to it, especially if there's vocals on it. Like if I like try and sing on a song and then like write a lot of the music, I'll have to go away from it for like even 5-10 minutes or come back the next day. It's like almost a bit of a hobby, and then you come back with fresh ears and listen to it. It's either a steaming pile of shit or it's like got something to it that you can keep on working on, I reckon. I reckon, yeah.
It's interesting you saying that you could go away for 5-10 minutes. Does that short gap, does that change things quite radically? Or?
Yeah, do you remember like if you're ever a kid and you change your room or whatever, like, and then you walk out of the room and go to the kitchen and then you come back to the room to see what it's like, and it gives you like it's just being able to step away from it, it gives you like a different perspective or whatever. Or like you forget about where it goes and you go, oh, that looks shit, but if you stay in the room, you don't really know. I don't know. That's what I can kind of only compare it to, is like that. Like, have to go back away and then come back to realise it's a steaming pile of shit. Where at the time, I think it's kind of all right.
What about when you're making a record, though? How do you go away and get... Is that a similar thing? Do you just have to go away to get the perspective of the other? What do you do if you're in the studio and you need to get perspective on something quickly?
I don't know. Well, because we try and get the demos sounding really good over time, and then we will try and kind of, I guess, go into a studio and make it better than the demo. I guess that comes a lot of the time in between when you finish recording and when you start mixing it. Because like we usually have a bit of time off after we finish tracking it, like get it pretty good on the desk bounces, like get it sounding good in the studio before it goes in through all this like mixing gear or whatever. And yeah, just have a bit of time off and then come back, and then someone will go away and mix it, and then we'll get to hear it from there, and then kind of sit with it for a bit, and then put in some notes. But yeah, I'm not sure about quickly in the studio, because I guess everything goes pretty quick in there unless you got a shitload of money or time or whatever, or you own like a studio.
When you take a little bit of time off before you feed it through the mixing desk, would you do the studio like in 2 different sessions, or is it just you take a day off and then you go back in?
We usually just record like all together, and then we'll go away, like we'll go home and like finish or whatever, and then it'll... Like this new album that we've kind of started working on, we'd finish, and then the person who recorded it like weeks later would then come back in with fresh ears and then kind of mix it and then send it to us and go, what do you think about this? But we've kind of got like a pretty good reference from the desk bouncers of where we kind of like mixed as we went in the studio, and we were like, oh, that sounds pretty good. And then it was kind of just like trying to take it to another level from there.
Is this upcoming album, was it a similar process of kind of just writing as many songs as you can and then picking out the best ones to record and work on in the studio?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we kind of we were going into a lockdown, so we went into a house for a few months and wrote the album, and we wrote shitloads of songs, and then we kind of just went into the studio, kind of gave ourselves a bit of like, we didn't want to sit around on the songs for too long and like and ahhing on them, so we kind of booked in the studio times to not overthink things, and then it kind of worked really well.
Were you up at the Grove again?
Yeah, we were. But with this time we did it with a different producer, like the guy who owns the Grove and runs it. So he mixed it as well.
Scott?
Scott Allscott.
Yeah.
Fuck, you know heaps for someone who lives on the other side of the fucking planet.
That's the age of the internet, man. It just travels.
Jeez, you sound like you're really interested in all this. You must be interested in it all, I guess. It's awesome.
It's funny when you start interviewing all the different bands and you kind of see all the connections.
Yeah.
Does it feel like that from your point of view? Is it quite like a tight-knit scene?
Yeah, well, it's just really... like you were mentioning the chats, I just finished... I was at a music festival the other day and I came back. My mate's like, oh, let's go to this house party, and like the chats would be there, or like the Simon lives across the road from the school from me, and like... or like Mikey from Violent Soul come over and drink beers and watch the football and shit like that, you know. Like, so yeah, it's just smaller here. Like, the music scene is quite small. Like the country's kind of massive, but yeah, the music scene, I feel like everyone knows everyone pretty much, or knows someone who knows someone else.
Is that the same like cross cities, or is it just for?
No, it's kind of cross cities as well. Once you start traveling all the time, because we like before COVID, we'd play festivals and you'd always be on on touring festivals as well, and you'd tour with like all the bands from Australia, and the radio station here, which I'm guessing you heard of, Triple J, like you kind of start just becoming familiar with like all the other bands, and then I guess like end up running into them all the time, and like eventually become friends with a few of them and stuff. So.
It was like, was it Splendor? You got everyone out on stage.
Yeah. Well, no, we got booked to do a Dune Rats and Friends gig. So kind of, it was like all those friends from the different bands that we'd met over the years. We just kind of did some songs with them, like Hockey Dad and Gooch Palms and TK Marzer and Mall Rat and heaps of people.
Wait, so it was actually booked as like a Dune Rats and Friends show?
Yeah. Because I think we'd played like a couple of years in a row, or maybe 1 year, or something in like... You're not meant to... I think it's Splendor in the Grass. It's not like... They try not to book you this twice in a row, but I think they wanted to, so they rebooked it as like Dune Rats and Friends. Yeah.
You cheated it.
Yeah, we cheated it.
How do you prepare for a show like that with so many like more moving parts?
Oh man, it's terrifying. Like I wouldn't do it again. I'm glad. I think we put on a great show, but it's just a lot of work and really scary and shit. And you know, you only get to run it through with the other bands like the day before or something like that. And we had all this production and stuff, and it's just fucking terrifying. I probably wouldn't. Wouldn't do it to a show to that extent again. If I wanted to have any
motorcycles, was it?
If we wanted to have any fun, no, that was the year before, but that was awesome because because we didn't have to worry about the songs. The songs were all fine. We just had to learn how to like ride a motorbike. Yeah.
You kept it up since?
No. I rode on stage, or we rode on stage, and the guys getting angry at us. The stage manager's like, "Don't fucking do anything wrong." Like, you do anything but ride on stage, your show's cancelled. And I'm like, "Oh, I know worries." Like, I didn't even know how to ride a motorbike. So we couldn't have any practice or anything like that. Yeah, so then I rode on stage on the little motorbike and put it down, and it started, like, petrol started going everywhere. But I didn't
petrol?
Petrol started coming out of the motorbike because I just leaned it over. And then, I'm just smelling petrol. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is getting a bit hairy, but yeah, this is fun.
Light up on stage.
Yeah. Like, wow, that's good pyro. Like, no, we need...
It's like, what was it, like Woodstock 96?
What happened there?
Is that the one, where they've got the fires, like, in the crowd and stuff, like, it all just went to shit because they didn't have, like, enough water and stuff, so they just started setting shit on fire.
Oh, was that like the Limp Bizkit one?
Yeah.
99. 99, I think. Or, I don't know, fuck it. But yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah,
I think and that, like, all the shit is just flying everywhere. That looked hectic. Wasn't they say that's the day, like, what did they say that was, like, the day, like, new metal died or something? I don't know. Or like, no, the day the 90s died or something, but if it was in 99, so probably,
near enough anyway. It was almost
you didn't have much time anyway.
Did you not have a run in with Limp Bizkit or something?
I did, yeah, I did. I was on a date, and then and the date was going horrible, and then I was in LA, and Fred Durst rocks up at the valet, so I get up from this date that's going terribly, and because I was fucking hammered, and this person I was at the date with was like drinking tea bags, like green tea that she'd brought, and like asking for boiling water and shit. I don't know
why.
It's just she must have been on a dry July as well. And then I went over to Fred Durst, like, hey man, like, I'm guessing I was like, oh, that's the first like CD I bought, because Limp Bizkit was my first CD I got my dad to buy. Right, because I was like young as fuck when the hot chocolate starfish hot dog flavoured water was running around my high school. And I just went and spoke to him. And anyway, on this date, all my friends are sitting at this other table. So I finished the date, and then me and this person went over to this other table, and then Fred Durst comes back to the valet, and he sees me after like got a picture with him and like said thanks and all this stuff, like, for being the first CD I bought, and he comes over and he slaps me, like, gives me like a hand, so he's like, have a good one, bro, and everyone's like, dude, was that Fred Durst? I'm like, yeah, and then what of it? Because they were sitting at the other table, they didn't know that I just chat with him. So like, how the fuck do you know Fred Durst? It's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Man, what were you doing in LA?
I can't remember. I think we were touring. Yeah, we would have been touring. Yeah, would have had some shows. Yeah, we were doing a tour, maybe with Fiddler, or maybe it's one before that, because they all blow into one, because we're all in these RV, like, motorhomes. And I think this one, because all our mates were there, we were on just our own headline tour around an album. Yeah, just cruising around, us in one RV and all our friends in another RV. That's ridiculous.
Did you record in LA as well?
Yeah, we did some writing stuff there. Like when we signed with BMG in Australia, they offered us to go over there and try working with some producers, like John Feldman, who'd done some stuff with Blink-182, and he sings in Goldfinger. And he'd done stuff like the Psycho Used albums and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I went over there and I worked with him and a couple other guys, and it was a cool experience. Probably not something we'd probably be in a rush to do again, but it was still cool. Yeah.
What did you learn from it?
Probably what kind of band we wanted to be, really, like. And that's just ourselves. Like, I think when you're writing with some people, we just kind of like making things the way that we want it to sound. Like, make more music that we would like to listen to. And sometimes if it takes like a pretty like specific type of person for us to like want to write with or whatever, for it to feel like we're being like authentic or whatever. So like being ourselves. Yeah, just learnt kind of what we did and didn't want to do.
I mean, when was that? Like, what record did you do off the back of what?
That was our last one, Hurry Up and Wait. We didn't do the whole record there, but I think like one of the songs that we started over there, came back here and it made it on there, which was Crazy. And then there was another one, Mountains Come and Go, but Aussie Pub Rock Lives On Forever. That was kind of one that we did in like our lunch break, so to speak. You know,
such a good title for a song.
Yeah, it's a long one.
It's the closer though, right?
Yeah, we play it live, and it's a sick one to close on live. Like, especially we've been playing these shows that have like fire. Yeah, like full metal shows or whatever, and then like the guys like go back to back while the fire's going off, and like then like doing these claps with this drum breakdown. It's like it's fucking ridiculous, but it's so funny to watch and look at while we're playing. It's really good. You
said you were saying there as well that before you did those writing sessions, you signed with BMG.
Yeah.
Is that so? Is that separate to like RatBag, or what's the?
It kind of goes hand
kind of dynamic.
It's kind of hand in hand, yeah. Like, so they distribute our bands that we signed to RatBag Records, and then we are signed to BMG. We kind of had that same setup with Warner, and then a couple of the staff members kind of left there that championed our band. So yeah, we kind of changed the label after they left, and yeah, kept RatBag going a bit. But yeah, really like pretty hands-on with Warner. I mean, off BMG.
That's what's funny, because we always think of labels as like these big kind of corporations, but really it's like the people on an individual level are the ones that are kind of fueling it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, it's definitely not what I thought it was when I was a kid, you know, like thousands of people like in this big machine, like kind of shit. But I
mean, what is so with RatBag, is that bands that you like and you bring them onto the label and kind of then BMG distribute them?
Yeah, well, we kind of started RatBag Records when Warner, when we got signed, we were like getting asked if we wanted to sign to Warner, and we were kind of umming and ahhing whether we wanted to be on a label, and then they were kind of like, oh, maybe we could fund a record label for you guys. And we're like, what? That's sick. So like we're like so wait, you give us money that we can give to like other bands, and like they can go and record? And they're like, yeah. And like the deal wasn't half bad, so we're like, quick, Skeggs, Gooch Farms, like Pandemic, come along. And like we'd give them like we'd help fund their recording, and now it's like this cool kind of thing which kind of can fund itself with, like, you know, if some of the bands go well, then we can have more money to put into further like new up and coming bands.
Repay Gooch Pams for that stolen tambourine.
Yeah, we didn't actually steal the tambourine. This guy that came up on on stage with us to play keyboard for one stole a tambourine, and we haven't even spoken to that dude in like eight years or something. Oh no, 10 years. But they hated us for all these years, thinking we were the ones that stole Gooch Farms tambourine at this show in King's Cross in Sydney.
Why did he steal their tambourine?
Because he was coming up to play keyboard for one song, which he ended up staying for, like overstaying his welcome or whatever. And he needed something to do, so he went to the bottom of a bag and grabbed a tambourine and threw it at a wall. And they're like, "That's our fucking tambourine!"
Oh,
yeah,
man.
It's poor Styles. Hey, have you watched that? Have you watched that pop thing on Netflix that's just come out?
Nah, what is it?
It's this like This Is Pop, and it's got like Britpop stuff. It's got like all these different types of pop, but it's going through Britpop that I'm watching at the moment. You just reminded me of it because
like going through the ages.
Yeah, all the different types of pop and dissecting the whole thing. Like I just thought you'd like it. It's psycho because it goes.
I'm interested.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like what we were talking about with here with like all the bands being so incestuous and how everything is like, you know, for lack of better words.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah, it's like that with this Britpop thing, and like just kind of dissects everything and how it all came about. I reckon you'd like
They were all kind of feuding with each other though, weren't they, a lot of them?
Yeah,
kind of each other's throats a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it was just getting him to Oasis and Blur before this podcast started. But it had Alan McGee from what is it, Fiction Record? Creation, yeah. And I just thought, that's fun. He's Scottish, isn't he?
Yeah, he's from Glasgow.
Different accent though. Is it different from your accent?
Yeah, it's a lot like harsher, I think.
Yeah,
I'm up in the north, so I'm a bit it's a wee bit softer.
Yeah, because I couldn't understand what the fuck you were saying on this doco, and I was wondering what this podcast was going to be like, because that was half like the reason why I was psyched, like really psyched to do this podcast. Apart from like being stoked, was just to hear a really solid Scottish accent. But yeah, I was getting worried that I wouldn't be able to understand what you were saying after Alan McGee. But
I mean, does it sound quite different, or do they kind of just sound much and such the same?
Kind of. I think you summed it up pretty well. Like, it's kind of the same, but theirs is like Alan McGee sounds a lot like heavier. Like, you know.
What about Aussie accents? Do they kind of tend to vary quite radically depending on where you are?
Oh, I feel like there's a couple, like there's the country accent, like, oh, yeah, mate, going down to the pub and shit.
Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, and then I swear there's a rugby league accent as well, like, yeah, mate, when you grab the ball, like, I don't know, like, the commentators have a bit of a twang about them, like, with the ball in play. Like, not the ball in play. It's like, when you got the ball in play. Like, I don't fucking know. Adelaide says different things to us. Like, they say dance and France instead of dance in France.
That's very British.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there, but pretty weird. What do you reckon about the Australian accent? Have you noticed, like, any different accents going around? Or it's pretty much the same, like...
Yeah, I think you hear different twangs.
Yeah, different twangs.
Maybe it's just some are stronger than others, perhaps. But
yeah,
it's hard to tell as well, though. Like I've had the guys from Psychedelic Porn Crumpets on a few times.
Yeah, well, they're from London, aren't they, or something?
Well, this is the thing: is that Jack was born over here, I think, and lived here for like until he was 10 or something. But when I hear him talk, it sounds like pure Australian to me.
Ah, really?
But then whenever I talk to anyone from Oz, they always say that he sounds like completely English.
Yeah. I didn't know he came out here when he was 10. Wow, he's really stuck true. I've got a mate who's gone over to London, who went over there to play in a band, and then I went over and saw him, and he's like got a London accent now, and I'm like, what the fuck? You've been there for like a year and a half. And he's
I'm always suspicious of that. I don't know how that happens.
And then I feel like they come, I don't know. And then, like, maybe if there's, like, you know, the people who play two sides of the fence, if they're, like, come back to Australia and, like, yeah, like talking like they got an English accent, and then they go back to us, like, around people from London, like, yeah, mate, just got on me, my kangaroo here, and here we are. And then I show up, and then he's like, oh, no, quick, back to London.
Is it almost like a chameleon thing, do you think? Like, trying to fit in or something?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably just all in my head, to be honest. Just ripping on them a bit.
Have you moved around quite a lot, or have you kind of always stayed in the same spot?
I was born in Auchenflower, which is like 6 kilometres from where I live, give or take. My mate Duncan, who doesn't say very many good quotes, he said, it doesn't matter if you die where you're born as long as you go everywhere else in between. I was like, that is fucking great. So yeah, I kind of been living by that. I do want to move near the beach somewhere at some point, but everywhere near the beach since COVID has just become impossible to live, like, to move to.
How come?
Because everyone wants to go to the beach.
Oh, so everyone's kind of just staying put and no one's moving.
No, everyone's moving to go to, like, now people like working from home more, and yeah, everyone just wants to live near the ocean, so there's not a lot going around in terms of accommodation there.
Something different about living by the ocean. Like when you wake up and you kind of look out and you just see it stretching.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Over the horizon.
That'd be so awesome.
Are you quite far inland then?
I'm about half an hour from the bay, but there's like an island blocking Brisbane's beach. It's like Stradbroke Island, I guess, is blocking Brisbane from having waves. So you have to go like an hour north or an hour south to get like beach, like waves.
Wait, what do you mean it's blocking it from getting waves?
Like the islands that are an hour out from, that you have to get a barge to or whatever. Yeah, they get all the waves. And then there's just still water in between the island and us.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How far out? You said they're an hour out on a boat, so they're miles out, but then the waves just stop.
You can kind of see it, like, it's not that far away. Like, you can get there in like 15 minutes on a faster boat, but if you want to go on the one with the car, it'll take about an hour or 45 minutes.
That's crazy. I can't imagine. We got to talk Too Tough Terry.
Yeah, we actually recorded that with our last album, and it didn't make the album because it's just a lot different to all the songs on the album, but we still liked it, so we kind of put it out.
It feels very standalone.
Yeah, it is very standalone. It's pretty hard to write, to like put that on, be cohesive with a bunch of other songs, I guess. Well, it feels like that for us. But it's a standalone song. We're not going to slide it onto a new album or anything like that.
Did you have the character before you had the song?
Not the cartoon character, but we just had the song. And then this kid from university in Newcastle made the video clip for over like 6 months as his final grading for his school university or whatever.
Wow.
Grading. and that just made the character come to life. And then we got like a mascot outfit for it and stuff like that.
Was he kind of a real life character? Was he someone you kind of just pulled from the real world? Not necessarily the animated version, but like the guy in the song itself.
I think it was just like we're trying to write a song about a truck driver. Or do you call them lorries over there?
Yeah. That's quite a Scottish word, lorry, yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to make a song about a lorry, like a pissed off lorry driver. We wrote it in like half an hour, like we didn't really think it through that much. And it's ages ago, so sorry if I'm being a bit aloof about it. But that was a really quick song to write, and then the demo came out really similar to the main recording came out really, really similar to the demo. Yeah, it was kind of like we were writing songs all day to try and make like a really good song, and then we would write that one for fun, kind of in the break, like Mountain Rocks Come and Go, Posy Pub.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, like you're trying to write songs. Yeah, a bit of like that. And then when we're just trying to have fun with it, then they come really quickly like that. Like a lot of my favorite songs we write come like that. Like Scott Green was a real quick one. And
why do you think that happens?
Because you're not putting it up on a pedestal, and then you can have more fun with it, and I guess you become more creative. Whereas if you're trying to write like a fucking masterpiece, you're probably just sitting there like, oh fuck, like oh shit, like what the fuck do I do? But if you just have fun with it, and it kind of translates through, and other people can have fun with it, and kind of goes all right,
Can that ever be a little frustrating as well? Like if you have a song, something you want to write a song about, and you really care about it, but then as soon as you put that pressure on it, it kind of impedes it a little bit? Or
I guess it can work in a couple of ways. Sometimes, you put it up on a pedestal and then you put too much pressure around it, and then you like almost suffocate the song. But other times, I guess if you're trying to make something like that has a lot of meaning and you put a lot of thought into it, it can come out really well thought out and good at the same time.
Was that the case for like some of the not the mellower, but the kind of maybe darker stuff in the last album, like Rock Bottom or Bad Habits? Were they ones that kind of had a little bit more put behind them?
Crazy was like that. Like we started that one in America with John Feldman, but then came back and has more of like a serious meaning and about the passing of one of our friends, and that's like kind of one that you don't really want to rush kind of thing if you're going to make it a bit more serious. But I guess a lot of those albums on the last one we tried to might have overthought it a bit, but they kind of worked out. But some of the ones that we overthought that didn't make it didn't make it for a bit of a reason,
Is that why you chose to bring that one in with John? Because it was kind of a tougher one to approach.
We started it from scratch with John, and then and then it didn't really have any meaning, so he didn't really want to pursue it or whatever. And then we kind of brought it back home and changed the music a bit, and then add the meaning to it, kind of thing.
That's a funny way of going about it, where you have the song there first and then you kind of implant the meaning into it afterwards.
Yeah. That kind of how that one worked out.
Did it change quite radically after you did that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it became kind of, sometimes I reckon it can become a bit easier once you have a meaning behind it, because you're not just trying to find anything that rhymes. You're kind of telling a storyline around it, so you have more content off the bat that you want to put into a song, I guess.
Well, I mean, where did that idea come from to put that experience into that song? What was it about the two things that kind of matched up for you? I
think it was like the chorus was similar, like something about like everyone is crazy lately or something like that. And then that was like kind of sparked the idea, and then we kind of went into that, explored that a bit further.
Does that impact it structurally in any way? Or is that what's kind of locked in place?
Yeah, kind of. I think for that one, it's a long time ago, but I remember, the instrumental that we had around that song changed around a new meaning, I think. So it's like talking about something that we write like fucking, I think that was, a few years ago now.
Do you think about the songs after you've written them, or once they're done, are they kind of locked in? And
I feel like once it gets released, it's kind of like they're kind of done. And then, you kind of, after you release them, then you, like our last couple of albums we've done like record store signings or whatever. And then you listen to it constantly at those signings or whatever on repeat. And then you have to go and learn them to then go on tour and then tour them again. And then like, by the end of it, they're just so cooked and implanted in your memory that you probably don't want to, probably don't revisit them as much or think about them as much anymore, because you've just dissected them and committed it to memory that much or something.
Is that what kind of also makes you kind of look forward though, and kind of start writing new ones once those ones are kind of cooked and they're in there? Is that when you start writing again for the next one?
I don't know, because it's weird, because like usually like in the past it's like after our second album, The Kids Will Know It's Bullshit, we just toured constantly until like it was almost embarrassing if we got announced on another festival, and then we're like, all right, well we better go away and like write an album. And like before that, it was always like release it, tour it to the until they're fucking done, and then quick, you got 2 weeks to write something else and like put it out. I remember one time we, on our third EP, which isn't our best EP by any means, we committed to a tour saying we'd put out our new EP for the tour, like before, like supporting a bigger band or something like that. So then I remember we were like, we were in the studio the day we're meant to be going to the airport to fly to America, and we just put everything down, like the lyrics, like not even thought about and that kind of shit, because that's the last day that we had to finish off this EP before flying over and starting a tour before coming back and releasing the EP to go on this support tour.
Man.
Yeah, back in it was a rushed pile of shit, that like parts of that EP, except for a couple of the singles on it. Yeah, so then like after Kids Will Know It's Bullshit, it was like kind of similar, like we'd tour that, and then by the time touring's finished, then it was time to write another album. But like with this last one, we recorded and we started touring. We did our album tour, and then it was the first tour we'd done off this album, and then the global pandemic was announced like the day after our last show. We did like, in 2 weeks, did like 3,000 capacity shows into just straight up nothing for over a year. And like, this all we do. Like, we haven't had jobs in like 9 years. Not saying we had like money in 9 years or anything, like for 9 years, like sleeping on couches and shit and under houses. But yeah, we kind of just had nothing else to do. So I guess come back to your question, it was like, yeah, that was time to start writing, because there was nothing left to do. it didn't really have to play into the fact that that the other ones were really like, you know, that we'd digested the last album or anything like that.
I mean, that period of time when it's like record the EP, tour America, release the EP, come back, go on another tour. How long did that last for, that period where it's just constant all the time?
I think we pretty like, because I guess we're talking about like been a band for like 11 years now. We pretty much like always had a show coming up in some way or another from like the start of our band until the end of The Kids Will Know It's Bullshit album. It's our second last album.
That's a long time just to be constantly
constantly have something coming up, you know. And then we kind of on purpose kind of took a break or whatever from playing shows here in Australia and stuff, and because we definitely had to like kind of get back to like, we didn't have to, but like we definitely felt like we wanted to like get back in and write another album to follow that one up. Yeah, that was the first time we had nothing, and then we were just gearing up to relentlessly tour for about 2 years. But yeah, we've played like 7 shows or something, or 12 shows since like in support of our last album, which is a lot more than a lot of other bands from Australia as well. Like some bands just had the worst luck. Like Hockey Dad, they just played a show in Brisbane on the weekend, which was their like rescheduled, I think something like 4 times. That was booked originally like a year and a half ago, to then play, to come off and in the encore get dragged into hotel quarantine because they were in a spot that was like 2 weeks before deemed a hot spot, and they were tested and everything came back negative. Yeah, they've just had like, other bands have just had such shit luck not being able to like tour or their albums and stuff like that.
Australia's pretty militant, isn't it, like in terms of the way it's cracking down on it?
Oh, it's fucked. But yet like they got like State of Origin, which is like the 2 big football teams here versus each other, and it doesn't matter where they have been. If they've been in hotspots, they can come into cities, play to 50,000 people like they did on the weekend here. But now the lockdown is happening, you know, like... Or like, and like the reason why Hockey Dad flew in early is because they noticed the State of Origin team were flying in early in case the border shut. So they flew in, and then like they get ripped off stage after their show, but then the football goes ahead with all the players that have just flown out of Sydney, and it's just like, you fucking cunts. Like, does my
it's all about money.
Fucking head in. It's all about money, man. If you could bet, I bet you that if you could bet on music, like, we'd be fine, you know? It's just fucking bullshit. They just got better lobbyists, and fucking does my head in, man. It really boils my blood, all that shit.
And that's the thing about this pandemic, is it's just highlighted, it's like lifting up the rock, you know, when you see all the bugs that are underneath it. It's just highlighted all the kind of corruption and the hypocrisy of the kind of way that the society is run in a very apparent way.
Hypocrisy between like sports and music here is fucking clear as day, and it's such an insult. Like, it's just rubbing our face in it. Like, we still got like music venues that are 200 capacity running at 100 capacity, or probably even less than that now. Look, today it came in that for a week you can't sing, yet you can play football. And before that there was like 200 cap venues running at 100 people only, yet there's 50,000 people at a football match. And it's like, you guys are fucking cunts. Every single one of them. Bunch of fucking cunts.
When you say football, do you mean like American football, or do you mean soccer?
I mean rugby league. Sorry.
Rugby league. Completely different.
Yeah. The footy, you know. It doesn't matter. Bring any sport here, you can play to 50,000 people, and then like your band can play as long as the footy's on, but you take the footy out of it and the band can't play in the stadium.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's fucking bullshit.
Have you not had a few festivals and stuff as well, though? Yeah,
if they're lucky enough to go ahead. It's like it's just a gamble for festival owners. Like, some get through, but if like there's a festival with probably, I don't know, meant to be around like 30,000 people, I'm guessing called Blues Fest here in Byron, and it was completely sold out. All the vendors with the food and everything you can't have like showed up. And there's one case of COVID in Byron. They shut the whole festival down like the day before it was meant to happen. People had flown in, 50,000 burgers getting ready to be sold, and then like just fucking them up. But yeah, unfortunately it wasn't a footy game.
We spoke a wee bit like about 5 minutes ago about that really intense period, you know, when you first started the band, and it was, I think you said it was like the first 7 years was kind of just non-stop going for it. Where were you at headspace wise, like at the end of all of that, when it kind of just stops and you take that break for a little while before you go back in to do the next record?
Shit ass. Like, we didn't really want to have a break, but we kind of had to write the album. Well, I didn't really like it. I know the other guys, like, I don't think any of us liked that time off. I don't know. I think we felt a little bit of pressure to follow up the album before that. But yeah, it just kind of, I don't know. After 7 years of touring and then stopping completely, it's a pretty tough thing I think we found it a little bit tough to do that.
It's like breaking a leg.
It's like, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're constantly used to going like bang, 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 and then suddenly it just stops and you're in the one place.
Yeah.
It's like breaking a leg.
Yeah, so I feel like we did that, and like I almost wish we didn't do that and we just kept touring. Like, and then just until COVID hit, but that's hindsight, I guess.
Even before you were in the band, were you someone who constantly had to just be doing stuff and kind of going all the time?
Yeah, I'm definitely like that. Like, non-stop need like to talk to people and move around, and yeah, pretty nomadic. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just call it nomadic. Like, I travel around, like, and if something's shit or something's going like in a bad spot, I'll just kind of go and travel. Yeah, when touring stops, it's a bit difficult, and when COVID hits, it's kind of a bit similar to that.
Yeah, I imagine COVID must be especially tough if that's your kind of headspace. What did you do to cope with it? How did you kind of handle it?
Just nothing. just fucking had to there's nothing I could do, and yeah, I just gotta wait. It's just really frustrating, to be honest. I wish I had something like some glory story to tell, but it's just been kind of shit.
See what we were saying about, you know, the fact that you kind of have to keep going and you just need to be constantly doing stuff and seeing people. Do you think you hear that energy in your music?
Oh, I've never thought about it like that. I'm not sure.
I was just thinking about it because your music is so kind of, you know, rough around the edges and punky and kind of constantly moving and kind of unfurling out the gate. I kind of saw a parallel there, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. That's a cool way of looking at it. I guess a lot of it's like little tongue-in-cheek jokes that you usually kind of come up with when you're around your mates. And I guess like we all write our songs together. Like usually like we'll come in with different bits and pieces, but like we'll write a lot of the stuff together. And like a lot of the time it's just trying to like crack each other up. So I guess like, you know, or like, you know, outdo one another, and that's a pretty like social thing. So I guess that would come across in the music, yeah.
A friendly competitiveness.
Yeah, a little bit like that. We do a thing called a round robin when we record vocals. Like everyone goes to do their take of what they might think like a good verse would be or a good chorus idea, and then we'll like kind of pick and choose the best, or one person's like verse or chorus will take shine, and then we'll all sing that bit or something like that. So yeah, there's a little bit of like friendly competitiveness there, but like usually we end up just like, oh, that bit's good and half of that's good and this bit's good, and kind of put it all together.
What do you do if the votes split?
If the votes, well, if there's three of us,
does the producer get a vote too, or just the three of you get the vote?
Well, it's the three of us, so usually it's a 2 versus 1, but if one person really gives a fuck, the other two will usually be like, oh, well, you give a fuck way more than us two do, so like you can get that. But if two think that that's like better than the other one, will usually, unless they think really strongly about it, it'll go to the other two. But if like you get a producer to kind of like steer like all three of your things and go, no, that's the way, and then if you really trust your producer, that's kind of the way that we'll go. We like, you trust the producer.
Did your songwriting change after you started working with a producer for the first time?
We've always kind of worked with producers, really, or like because we've never engineered anything, so the engineer's usually been like the the extra member in the band kind of thing, usually.
The guy that kind of helps steer the ship.
Yeah, it helps steer the ship, and kind of if we're ever stuck on something, he has like an extra opinion or can come in with like a solution for something or get us on the right path kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're kind of coming to the end of the chat a little bit, but it's, when we do these conversations, we kind of get an opportunity just to chat about anything and kind of get a sense of the band as a whole, as opposed to your kind of, your 15, 20-minute interviews when you're trying to get these bullet points that fit into a narrative. Do you ever feel like there was a narrative that was kind of slapped upon you as a band when you first came onto the scene? That was kind of became the cliche for what the Dune Rats story was?
So we were like we were always just like the Waves cover band, and like that we were surfing in the venues. Like we were always the surf people, and now it's like there's a narrative that comes up that like, Dune Rats maturing into like the venue instead of surfing into the venue. Like, they're growing up, but they're fucking blah blah blah. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, you don't know me. Like maybe I don't know, getting older, but fucking. I guess I'm doing a dry July. Maybe they're right.
Is it almost like a simplifying of it a wee bit, do you think?
Yeah, I guess just trying to... Like some people kind of come and tell you like what you're doing in an interview to try and fit their narrative of the story they're trying to put across.
How do you mean?
Oh, like... So now that you guys are getting a lot older and like asking a question like getting a lot older, and you've like, do you feel like your maturity, like your new maturity level has shone through in your music? And you're like, I never said I had a fucking high level of maturity. You did. You're asking me if that's coming through in my music. You're like kind of pushing their agenda on their on their way of storyline or whatever that they're trying to get across. Sometimes, I don't know.
How do you escape that?
Pull it up a bit. Just mention it, bring it up like, hey, I don't know if we have matured a bit.
Do you ever think about your kind of narrative? Do you think about how it kind of sits in your head, the story so far, and like what the kind of picture as a whole?
Not really. Always kind of looking forward and coming up with new ideas and stuff, but you never really know what's going to happen, I reckon. Imagine trying to like push a narrative on ourselves, and then like 2 years ago before COVID hits, it's like now everyone's kind of what happens is going to happen, I reckon.